Are you ready to take your leadership journey to the next level? On the leadership platform TLP, we don't just talk about leadership, we live it. This year, we are bringing you cutting-edge insights, transformative tools, and real-world strategies to help you lead with confidence, purpose, and impact. This year, we have 4 seasons with 50 episodes. We will dive into themes such as leading self, leading others, and leading institutions. We bring you Leaders Are Leaders. This monthly session focuses on book reviews, discussions, encouraging all participants to read along with selected books on personal leadership and professional leadership. We also have a time with the CEO. In this segment, we dive into the stories of prominent CEOs who share their insights, lessons learned throughout their leadership journey. We also bring you extraordinary leadership stories, highlighting individuals in our societies who are doing extraordinary things. This segment inspires viewers with real-life examples of leadership in action. We will bring you some brilliant minds, courageous leaders changing the narrative of Africa. We also bring you, finally, the expert-led sessions, which cover a wide range of leadership and personal development topics, providing practical guidance and actionable strategies for personal and professional development. The leadership platform is your go-to space for personal growth, professional breakthroughs, and meaningful connections. I am Joy Bunsu-Schmutz, co-host on TLP, and I will see you every Saturday, 7 p.m. GMT, live on YouTube and Facebook.
Hello, and a very happy new year to everyone who has joined us today. It is a great pleasure to be co-hosting today the first episode for 2025. And I hope you will let us know where you are joining us from. Just put it in the comments and the chat box. Tell us where you're joining us from so we can give you a warm welcome. My name is Sarah Jessie Appiah, and I'm joining you from Geneva, Switzerland. Great to be here with you, and hopefully most people will join us for the 50 episodes that we have for 2025. So let's see who will be joining us today. I cannot see anybody else yet, but please do share with us where you are joining from so we can welcome you. As Joy did say in our opening video, we have a whole lot of things planned out for you. The team has been working tirelessly, and you can see the new facelift that they have given the platform. And we say a big kudos to Joy and the team working behind the scenes. So let me see what you have as your word for the year. I'll just like us to have just a quick interactive part before we come with what we have prepared for you for the first Saturday of this year. My word for the year is gratitude. So let's see from all of you what your word is. And I can see Comfort Victoria Ashley joining us from Ghana. Welcome, Victoria. Safu Jacob is joining from Kumasi. Great to have you in Comfort. And Portia Amonu says, Happy New Year, CTL. I am Portia. I work with Ghana Canada Medical Center, joining from Tema Community 25. Great to have you here. And Comfort says she is joining from Accra, Ghana. Great to have all of you here. So let's see, what is your word? Comfort, Sappho, Portia, just the three of you. What is your word for 2025? Share with us. Mine is gratitude. And as we wait for our speaker to join us, I'll even ask Joy, who is behind the scenes, to give us her word for the year 2025. All right. Okay, so today I will just give you the topic that we have shared so far is leading as Jesus, the high road leader. This is from John C. Maxwell's book, and we have no other person than our leader and visionary for the leadership platform, Samuel Aim, who all of you, as you know, is a lawyer, a coach, a governor, an expert when it comes to governance. And he holds so many titles that he will share with you. If you haven't met him, I know that you are in for a ride and you get to meet the person who brought this platform into being. So Michael Osei Aponsa says, wow, great to see you, SJA. Okay, yes, great to see you as well. And Ifwa Hesi says, hers is also gratitude, thanking God for my very life. And Gladys Asamoah joining from Ablekuma. Okay, as you introduce yourself and your word for the year, I would like to invite Sam to join me on the leadership platform. Joy says she has a phrase, not a word, saying leading by example, and Portia is perseverance. So, Uncle Sam, the youngest man in town, welcome.
Thank you, Joy.
Welcome,
Yeah,
and Happy New Year to
Sarah,
you.
Jesse,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you.
Great
How
to
is
have. Fine. It's very cold, but I'm here. I feel warm already being in your company virtually.
we will
So,
send you some worms in the Hamatan heat.
thank you. Thank you. Great. So, Uncle Sam, welcome to 2025. And it's
Thank
great
you.
to have you as the founder of CTL as well as the leadership platform, starting the year, kicking the year off with us. So tell us, what is your word for the year?
Sarah, I shared a word with you, gratitude. 2024 was great. For me, 2024 was amazing. I turned 60, my wife 50. We had been married for 30 years. And we had a nice celebration to thank God. Family and friends were together, and whole family was around. It was a joyous occasion. So the year has ended well, and my heart is just full of grace and gratitude to God for taking care of us. I'm also thankful to the CTL Africa team, including you, Joy, Vivian, Hawa, Priscilla, all the other team members who are working behind the scene to bring this platform to us every week. So it's full of joy that we are beginning 2025.
Excellent. Thank you. So without much ado, I would like to say, Uncle Sam, what do you have for us this year, today, apart from the high road leadership? What's the message you want to give to your audience that have been faithful in following you all these years?
Well, we want to thank everyone who has been on the platform. For the last 4 or so years, we've been running this platform every week. And there are some people who almost every week are here. And I want to say thank you to all of you who have been on the platform. I want to appreciate those of you who have given us great feedback about how this platform and the other programs we are running are helping you. Our challenge for all of us is this year, let us commit to our personal development and our leadership. We need better leaders more than ever. Africa can afford with more leaders. We need more leaders. We need better leadership in Africa. And if each one of us can commit to lead a bit better every day, like the Japanese say, the Kaizen, just improving our leadership every day, by the end of 2025, Ghana will be a better place, Africa will be a better place, and each one of us would be a better person. So that is my message for 2025 for everybody on this platform.
Thank you so much. So that really leads us to what you want to share with us today, the High Road Leader. Over to you. Tell us what High Road Leader is all about, and how can we aspire or even take steps to become High Road Leaders, to lead better. Over to you, Uncle Sam.
Thank you so very much, Sarah Jessia, Pia, and welcome everybody. And as customary with me with the beginning of the year, I like to share something which is also from my faith. And I know that not everybody on this platform share my Christian faith, but we know that whether you're a Christian or not, some of the principles that are shared by the Bible are eternal. And as we will see shortly, you will see that these are principles that are universal, that apply to all of us. So as we start the year and looking at all that is going on around us in the world, with the chaos in the world, with the transition in leadership in Ghana and other places, and standards of leadership that is falling, we thought that we would set the ball rolling this year by focusing on high road leadership, which our mentor John Maxwell has been focusing on and communicating and preaching since last year, to encourage all of us to be able to improve on our leadership quality. So we wanted to look at this from the perspective of my Savior, Jesus Christ, who, as we will see, is probably the model for high road leadership. But again, this theme is coming from two books that John Maxwell has written: a High Road Leadership book, which he launched sometime last year, and Jesus, the High Road Leader also. So the topic is actually fallen from John's two books on high road leadership. And so this evening, I just want us to focus on leadership and the quality of leadership, the character of leader that we present to the world. The world, as I said, is in turmoil in so many places. We need leadership. And as we said over and over on this platform, everything rises and falls on leadership. And we don't have an abundance of leaders. We actually have a scarcity of leadership across the world. There is no family, there is no organization, there is no country in this world. Even the giants of America are struggling with leadership. They're struggling with the quality of their own leaders. I mean, when Donald Trump won this election, the narrative was all the qualities and values that people talked about who a leader is seem to have been turned on its head. And the discussion is whether we should redefine who a leader is and who a good leader is. But that discussion continues depending upon where you stand. But in our own country, in Ghana, where we're broadcasting from, we also see the quality of leadership. We had, a government that people had a lot of expectation for, and after 8 years, it seems almost like the whole country feels like, no, we haven't had a good job done. Depending upon where you stand, you would say we have achieved something, but a lot of people, given the results of our election, would show that, people were not happy with the leadership that we have had in the 8 years. But again, even with the leadership that has been voted in, a lot of people will say that, well, it's not like we think that this is a great leadership that we have brought in. It's just because we feel that, the ones that we are kicking out, we're so upset with them that we think that, like sometimes they say, the devil, is better than the devil you don't know. I don't think the devil can anyway be better than an angel. So I think that proverb needs to be reshaped. It's the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And we know both of them already. And so people are cautiously optimistic. And when you see the acrimony and the campaign that went into our election, and when you see, the jabs and the debts that were being thrown around, and you look at the people who are vying for leadership position and what they are saying and how they are behaving, we ask ourselves, what is the quality of leadership that we can expect? And so we've thought like we'll begin this year focusing a bit more on the quality of leadership and why people should be leading at a standard that would benefit others. And so we chose this as our first theme, and we want to welcome all of us to the Highroad leader. We have a quick outline that we want to just share with you. We just start with leadership as influence, and then we look at Jesus as the greatest influencer of all time. Why we need, why do we lead at all? Why do people fight for leadership? Then we'll focus on Jesus's concept of leadership, and then zoom on Jesus as the model for Highroad leadership, and then end with some concluding calls on leadership. All right. So let's kick the ball rolling. Over and over on this platform, we have referenced John Maxwell's oft-quoted definition of leadership. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Now, there are thousands and thousands of definitions in the literature on what leadership is all about. And when you analyze each one of them, you come to the firm conclusion that whether you look at it from the vision perspective, from strategy perspective, from taking people from one place to another, from achieving things, from change perspective, every dimension that you look at leadership from, you come to the firm conclusion that leadership is social influence by which one person is able to move people from one point to the other and get people to believe what they want them to believe, to do things that they want to do, to be able to improve people's life, and so on and so forth. So the critical point is influence. And the oft-quoted statement that if you think you are leading and nobody is following you, then you are going on a walk, is apt in this context. Because if you think you are leading, and many a times people think they are leading, we are occupying positions and we think we are leading, but nobody is listening to us. It happens to me as a parent. It happens to many as leaders in management positions where we think that we are leading, but nobody is following. In other words, people are not listening to us. We are not getting the people to do the things we want them to do. That means we've lost the influence. And say all the time, if you had to, for example, reference your title, don't you know that I am the manager, or I'm the husband, I'm the wife, I'm the father? Then it's an indication that we're losing our influence. So influence is the key definition around which leadership is built. And each one of us has influence in many ways. And we may not recognize the influence we are having, but you don't need any title or position to influence people. At any level on the organization you are, in the society you are, you have influence over people, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a driver, a driver's mate, or whatever, you are in a way having some influence. Your influence may not be positive because influence can be negative. So you may be actually running a negative influence. So let us beware of that. We are all influencing the world one way or the other. And that means we are all leaders. We are all leaders. And that brings me to the question of Jesus. Because whenever we talk about leadership, a lot of us prefer to go back to the philosophers, the great academicians, and other theologians, and we want to go to management literature and so on and so forth to look for what leadership is all about, which is fine, And many people do not even think that they can look to the Bible or to Jesus for any leadership lesson. But somehow, that is the critical source. My mentor, John Maxwell, always gave this example where he was teaching leadership to corporate leaders in America. And at one of the sessions, after he taught a lot of leadership principles to CEOs of great top organizations, one of them says, John, your leadership lessons are fresh, they sound good. Can you please tell us where you pick your leadership lessons from? And John says to these people, well, I'm sorry, you may not like what my answer will be, so I don't think I would share. Important things is that you like the lessons. And I said, no, we want to know, where do you get your material from? And after they pushed a while, John says, well, since you're pushing me, I will tell you. Everything that I'm teaching about leadership, I get from the Bible. And he says, at that moment, a lot of people said, it's like, John, be serious. How can you say, these things are from the Bible? But after engaging with them for a while, they came to appreciate the fact that the Bible can be and is a source of great leadership lessons. Now, Jesus, arguably, if you define leadership as influence, Jesus is probably the greatest influencer of all time, and therefore the greatest leader of all time. Nobody can come close to Jesus in any way. In fact, there's a distance. If you can find a number two, it will be a far distance from Jesus Christ. Why do I say so? Now, let's just quickly look around us and ask yourself, look simply at your calendar and the dates that you have. Today, we talk about 2025. Where is that coming from? If you write 2025, you'll be writing AD, Aminos Dominos, which is the year of our Lord. Now, the year of our Lord referencing to Jesus Christ. This was 2025 years after the death of Jesus. And when we count time before Jesus, it is counted BC, before Christ. So even your timetable and your calendars and your dates that you're counting is influenced by Jesus's birth and his death. Again, look at the world. Whether you believe in Christmas or Easter as a Christian festival or not, like personally, I don't think there's any Bible basis for Christmas and all that, and Easter as it's been propounded. But these are the most celebrated holidays across the world. Christmas and Easter, almost everywhere. Even people who are not Christians recognize these 2 days. The whole world more like stops. The two, universal holidays, and these are holidays around the birth and the death of Jesus. I mean, come on. This is a great influencer. Now, Christianity is probably the largest religion. There are several religions, but by far the largest religion. Now, art, literature, and music have been propounded or written about Jesus, and they have music a lot. Jesus never wrote any music. He never did any painting. But if you look at paintings of some of the greatest painters painters. And if you look at music, some of the most inspirational music, some of the most influential writings, poems, drama, all built around Jesus Christ. So Jesus is a really greatest influencer. Look at education. Today, even in our own country in Ghana, some of the best schools started as Christian schools. And the very first universities, including Oxford, which is one of the top universities in the world, started as a Christian institution. And many, 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 many more. The standards of morality, ethics, are all influenced by the teachings of Jesus. So Jesus is arguably the most powerful, most influential leader. So if you're going to talk about leadership at any level, from family, from society, organizations, and if you want to be a leader, you better look at Jesus also. And that is what we want to commend to you this few minutes before us, to begin to look at Jesus Christ as the greatest leader, the source of great leadership lessons and great leadership example that we can pick to improve our leadership 2025 and beyond. All right? Now, why do people lead? Why do people take up leadership positions? And maybe you want to answer that question for yourself. You want to ask yourself, why am I a leader? Look at our politicians. Why do they crisscross the whole country, raising and spending huge sums of money just to be elected member of parliament, just to be elected president of the country? And then after some while, they tell us that, oh, this is, it's a thankless job. Why do they want to be leaders? Why do they want to fight for those positions? Look at your organizations. People, cut people here and there and do all sorts of things to get promotion to positions of leadership. Why? There are two reasons. Studies have shown that there are two motivations why people lead. Because when you talk about leadership, and a lot of the discussions around leadership, we talk about what to do as a leader and maybe how to do. So a lot of the discussions around leadership is around what to do as a leader and how to behave and how to lead and so on and so forth. But the most important question in leadership is not what to do as a leader or how to do as a leader. The most important question is, why do you want to lead? And there are two critical theories, if you want: the responsibility theory and the reward theory. What is the responsibility theory? The responsibility theory is simply that people go into leadership because they feel a sense of responsibility to serve and to be useful and to add and to better the lives of people. And that is the sense of duty that drives them to leadership. The other theory is the reward theory. People go into leadership because they want power, they want the privileges, they want advantages, they want benefits for themselves. And so these are the two forces that push people into leadership. Those who are convinced that they are there to serve and to add value, and those who believe that they need the position of authority for themselves. So in organizations, people want the title of a manager and the position of the manager. Why? Because immediately there will be a car, immediately there are some allowances, immediately there are some benefits, travels that they couldn't pay for, they can now pay for. They would have, in my previous life, they will have a school fees paid for them, they will have generators in their houses, they would have security in their houses, gardeners. And today in our political circle, look at what you see. In people who are fighting to go to the parliament the next morning, they're driving cars they've never driven in their life before. They are having power. They are even fighting for motorcade ahead of them. Those perks and the privileges is what is driving so many. So these are the two factors that are moving. This is what we call the heart of leadership. the why you're leading. And if you take leadership from that perspective, then the most important person who has an answer to why you should be leading is Jesus Christ. And he gives us the answer and says the most important reason you should be leading should not be the benefits that you get, but the responsibility that you said. And this brings us to Jesus's concept of leadership. Now, and this concept of leadership that Jesus shared, or that we're going to share from here, is the servant leadership concept. Now, Jesus was about to die, and he has told his disciples several times in a few days how he's going to die. And as he kept telling them that he was going to go away, they began arguing among themselves. Now, if Jesus goes away, who is going to take the position? Who is going to be number one? So 2 of the 12, John and James, went to their mother and said, look, our master is going to die. We don't know who is going to succeed him. He hasn't told us who is going to be his successor yet. But we think that if you go to tell him and plead with him, he will make us his successor. So go and ask for us. So the mother goes to Jesus with John and James and asks Jesus, I just have a little request. Jesus will say, okay, lady, what is your request? Well, you see, James and John, these are my sons. They've served you for all these 3 years. And so I want you to make them your right-hand man and your left-hand man. Put one on your right and one on your left. In other words, I want you to make them your successor. Now, Jesus asked this woman and in effect, James and John, whether they are able to bear the responsibility that he bears. Oh, they say, oh yeah, we will do it. But obviously what they were looking for was not the responsibility. They were looking for the perks. So Jesus says, well, obviously you are looking at the world and the people in the world and how they lord it over others. And they exercise power and authority and benefits and privileges. And that is what you're asking. And Jesus says, not so with you. If you're going to be my follower, that is not the style of leadership that I want from you. The leadership that I want from you, a person who wants to lead, must be a servant. And then he says, he who wants to be great must be a slave. Now, I'm sure these people were like, are you kidding me? Me that want to be the leader should be the servant? Well, maybe servant, yes, but a slave? No way. Now, there and then, Jesus set out his concept of what leadership is all about. Leadership is about service. And when Jesus says he's a slave, what does a slave do? A slave obeys the master. It gives the instructions. And that Jesus was communicating that whoever is in authority should understand that there's somebody who is superior, who is his master. And here, that is God. God is the one who gives power and authority. And you cannot lead if you're not going to obey the instructions of God, because leadership is given by God. And that Jesus set out. And he didn't end there. He then established this family with his disciples. When he was going to have the Last Supper with them, Jesus here demonstrated what he means by leadership is service and slavery. They've walked all day and they've gone to the upper room, sit down for supper. And by the tradition, every house you go, there must be a servant in front of the gate to wash the feet. They have rented this house apparently, and nobody was prepared to wash their feet. And all the apostles they followed and they went with their dirty feet up there. So Jesus looks at them and says, well, guys, we cannot be here with our dirty feet. We need to wash our feet. So come down. He takes the basin and say, come and let me wash your feet. And the apostles were shocked. Peter in particular says, no, you're not going to wash my feet. Jesus says, well, if I don't wash your feet, then you're not part of my ministry. And he said, okay, if that is it, then wash. So Jesus washes the feet of the apostles, and then he tells them, you see, I have washed your feet. Me you call Lord and teacher. I have come so low to wash your feet. You should go and do likewise. This is what it means to be a leadership. And he says, verily I tell you, no servant is greater than his master. Me, your master, I have done this for you. Go and wash the feet of others. So this is the leadership model that Jesus presents to us, the servant leadership. And Jesus is not just, was not just like he was theorizing, but he throughout his life, Jesus. And we're going to just share a few of how Jesus demonstrated this leadership, the servant leadership philosophy that Jesus shared. Now, when we look at the two motivations for leadership, you compare the servant leadership and the reward leadership. The servant leader sacrifices for others. And that's exactly what Jesus did. He sacrificed his life for others. Now, the reward-minded leaders don't sacrifice for others. They want to be served. They want to lord it over. Now, the servant leaders is always trying to make others look good, whereas the reward leaders want to look good. So if you're a leader, a servant leader, you want to make people look good and feel good about themselves, not about you. But the people who are looking for reward, they want the perks, they want to look good. People work for you, and then they go and present it for themselves without recognizing the contribution of others. Servant leaders find approval from God. That is what Jesus meant. As a servant leader, you should be a slave to God. You should obey God. But the reward-minded leaders want approval from their own performance and from others. They are looking at somebody's approval. No, true servant leaders understand that the authority comes from God. And servant leaders like the hard truth, feedback. But when your focus is not service, but on reward, you only want positive feedback. That is why our politicians get surprised when they lose elections so massively, because every day they are being told they are doing great, everything is fine, you are the greatest leader of all time, you've done more than any other leader in this world, you are the great. And that's all they want to hear. And those who are saying, no, watch, things are not going well, they are the enemy, they are the opposition, they are the Jezebels and the Satans of this world, and they will write them off. They don't want to listen to them. But true servant leaders, because they know that they are here for service, they come with humility. And that is exactly what Jesus did. The Bible in Philippians says that Jesus, although was in the same position as God, did not attach himself to that position. He humbled himself and took on the position of a human being so that he can serve us as human beings. He can be a model and example for us. And that's what true leaders do. If you want people to move from one place to another, you want to be able to go to their level. You don't want to be above them. You want to be at their level so you can understand their challenges. But what do our reward leaders do? They immediately we appoint them leaders. They move out of the communities. They go and live in the best places. They drive the best cars. They fly first class. And they overnight, their life change and they forget about the conditions of the people. because they elevate themselves above us. But no, servant leaders keep with the people. Jesus came, walked, and took on the nature of a human being so that he can understand our problems. If you're a leader and you don't come down to understand the challenges of your people, you will not be able to serve them and you will not be able to lead them well. So Jesus, as a servant leader, did exactly that. And that is what he demonstrated fully for us to be able to understand what the leadership of I think I moved the slide away from. Okay, so that is what Jesus did. Now we're going to share a few other things that Jesus did to show how servant leadership did. Servant leaders, from the example of Jesus, values everybody. They value everybody because they recognize that every human being was created by God and is valuable. And because they recognize the value in that human being, that is how they serve it. They serve that everybody. They don't look down upon people. And in John 3:16, the popular passage, for God so loved the world was bad, the world was wicked. The Bible says we've all gone astray. But God gave his only begotten Son, and he came down not to condemn us, but so that we can believe. Now, if we were all sinners, why would Jesus come to the sinners? But we find that Jesus came, he ate with sinners. People were saying, how can this man be eating with sinners? Because he valued them. They are human beings. No matter their sins, they are human beings. The same way when we're leading at every level, whether it's family, whether it's corporate leadership, political leadership, the people may not be the people you may not like. They may be people that you may hate. They may be your opposition. They may be your most terrible critic, but they are still human beings and you must value them. So servant leader, Jesus' concept of leadership is valuing people. Again, he loves people unconditionally. And Jesus says, a new law I give unto you, that you love one another, that the world may know that you are my disciples. That is the hallmark of leadership, love. You see, you can love people without leading them, but you cannot lead people if you don't love people. You must have a care for people. You must have a conscience. True unconditional love, no matter how they are, you must love them because they are human beings. And that love is irrespective of their performance, irrespective of whether they like you or they sing your praise or not. They are human. True servant leaders see more in people than just their past. And when Jesus was calling his disciples, he called somebody like Matthew, who was a tax collector. And in those days, the tax collectors had a very bad reputation. They had very bad reputation. And people were like, how can you call tax collectors into your team? The past and whatever they have done was not important to Jesus. Jesus was looking more into what Matthew can do. So he's looking beyond their past. We as leaders, whether corporate leaders, should be able to look at people beyond their immediate present and the past, and to be able to look into what they can provide and what contribution they can make if we can serve them and bring them and polish them up and become better leaders. Servant leader like Jesus as a model, what he did was he cared for the sick, he cared for he was a shepherd, the people that were lost. That is what he came from. As leaders in corporate life, the people that are below, that are down, that are trodden. I remember when I was in corporate life, I used to fight. People say, oh, bonus should just be given to the top 5 people. That's the seniors. Why? The seniors already get better pay. But no, they don't want to give bonuses to the juniors. The same with our political leaders. Article 71 in Ghana is said to be, is supposed to be just privileges for the people who are in high position, because they wrote the constitution and they wrote it for themselves, gave themselves packages. And the people who are downtrodden, they don't care about them. The people who are on the street, they don't care about them. They just drive past with sirens. That is low road leadership, my brothers and my friends. That is low road. High road leadership that Jesus led and epitomized and models cares for those who are weak, the vulnerable, the destitute, the orphans. That's what leadership is about. The weak should be taken care of. And high road leadership see the big picture. In the whole mission of Jesus was talking about the kingdom of God, the big picture. And that is what motivates him to bring everybody into the kingdom. So when you look at the big picture of your organization, the big picture of your family, the big picture of this country, we should be able to bring everybody on board. That means that every member of this society, of our country, is part and parcel of this community, and we should be able to accept everybody, because the country Ghana is bigger than one party, is bigger than one parliamentarian, one tribe, one ethnic group or another. We should look at the big picture, and that is exactly what Jesus teaches and did. And one more thing about high road leadership of Jesus Christ: Jesus did not keep scores. Now we see sometimes in our political leadership, people are very vindictive. People actually kill their opponents. They eliminate people who they see as their enemies and opponents. This is very, very low road leadership. They will do everything to bring them down. In corporate life, some people will do everything to bring others down so they can get positions. They'll go and tell all sort of falsehood about their colleagues so that their boss can have a very bad image. That is low road leadership. Jesus says, no, that is not what true leadership, servant leadership is about. Now, when you look at Jesus and how he treated his disciples, you will see Peter in particular went to Jesus and said, look, now it's difficult. How many times should I forgive people who offend me? Jesus says, well, you want to know? 7 times 7 times 7. So Peter can you say that again? How many times should I forgive? Was it one, twice? He says, no, it's not once, it's not twice. 7 times 7 times 7. Just Peter and co were like, no, this is tough. But Jesus demonstrated that. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. But when he resurrected and the women went to see Jesus, Jesus send them a message. He says, go and tell the disciples and Peter. Now, you would have thought that this man who had denied you 3 times, at the point you're going to be killed, you say, Peter? No, go and tell the others, not Peter. But Jesus said, no, go to Peter. And when Peter came to him, he says, Peter, do you love me? Jesus came to his level, forgave him, and embraced him. So that is what high road leadership is about. People may offend you in your corporate life. People may offend you in your personal life. Remember, everywhere you are leading, you are having influence. So this is not just for political leadership or corporate chief executives and CEOs and managers and everything, but all of us. And we, in particular Christians, we are supposed to lead our lives at a high road, because that is what Jesus epitomized. And if in 2025, in our leadership at every level, we can lead like Jesus, and we can take the high road in our leadership, and we can value people and respect people and have empathy and support people and bring them up, And if we can lead because we have a responsibility to serve and not because of what we're getting from it, this is going to change our world significantly. This is going to change our world significantly. So, my friends, our call for you this year is to embrace the high road leadership. High road leaders bring people together, as John Maxwell would say. They value all people, not just good people, not the people that they like, not the people they know, not the people from their own families, not the people from their ethnic group. And as our political leaders, our new political leaders in Ghana are coming, my call to them is bring people together. This country has a lot of people, good people who can help build this country. It is not only the people in your party that can help build this country. We need everybody on board. We should value everybody. And we should acknowledge our humanness. We are all human beings. We all commit mistakes. And the mistakes that the government that has been voted out made, the same mistake can be made and will be made. In fact, had been made before by these same people, new government in power. And so are they going to learn and recognize that they are human and not over-jubilate? True high road leaders do the right thing for the right reason. They lead and do the right things because they know that is what they should do, not because of what they will get. And they give more than they take away. We've seen our political leaders taking too much from the country. Some of them are richer than the country. In Africa, some political leaders are richer. Their bank account and their properties can pay for all the school fees of the people, but they won't do it. They keep it. And they go, after you go and die, what do you gain? High road leaders develop emotional capacity to understand people and to accept people. So our call is for us to build our leadership on this model. It requires us to place people above our own agendas. Above your own agenda. You may have your interest, but when you're a high road leader, when you're a servant leader, you place people above others. They embrace authenticity because we are human and we are natural. Be authentic, no faking, no all this, propaganda to make things look nice when things are not. High road leaders take accountability for their actions. They accept liability and responsibility. This business of we did everything right and nothing wrong is low road leadership. At least accept that something went wrong and look into the people and say, we are sorry. But no, we don't. We should lead by the bigger picture, don't keep score, and desire the best for others. This is the kind of leadership that we are calling for in 2025. Jesus, the high road leader. Finally, John Maxwell says, the high road is not always easy, but it is always the right road. The high road leaders prioritize character over charisma. Yes, it's not easy to put others before you. It is not easy to love people who criticize you. I mean, there's a video circulating where we see our first lady in Ghana very upset because somebody said some hard things against the president, her husband. It's not easy to take it. But high road leadership accepts that we are here to serve and we are ready for all the hard, difficult choices that we make. So we have presented to you Jesus Christ, the high road leader. The world needs better leaders. The world needs more leaders, better leaders. The world needs high road leaders. And we are calling on all of us. This year at CTL, we're going to give you a lot of material, a lot of information on high road leadership. And we're going to bring people who are leading on the high road so that we can all become better leaders. May the Lord bless us and may God keep you in 2025. May all your visions and your dreams come true, and may you go out there and lead exceptionally as a high road leader, modeling the model that Jesus has given to us. Sarah, that is my presentation. Over to you.
Excellent. Thank you. So we'll go for a quick commercial break, and then we'll take the questions. So please put your comments and questions in the chat so we can call it out for Sam to answer. Thank you, Sam. Over to you, Joy.
For over a decade, CTL Africa Leadership has been more than a service provider. We are your dedicated partner in leadership growth, specializing in leadership development, corporate governance, strategy, culture, change management, and customer service. We focus on relational skills and personal growth essentials for effective and sustainable leadership. Our approach blends masterclasses, mastermind groups, gamified learning, and executive coaching to create impactful and engaging programs. Introducing our 2025 Corporate Development Catalog. For all heads of organizations and HR leaders, call us now to request your copy today and take your organization to the next level in 2025.
Excellent. Thank you, Joy, and for letting us know what we have for the corporates. And before we ask Sam to answer questions or look at the comments that are coming in, I'll also like to mention that on the personal level, if you want to develop yourself, we have the growth journey that is coming on the 10th cohort. Is going to be this starting of this month. And you have 10% discount if you do sign up before the 15th of January. So please do so. Another thing that we do have is the Laws of Leadership. This is for people who have already gone through the growth journey. That is also available if you want to move to the next level. So do contact CTL Africa, and we'll be happy to sign you up. We need 15 people, right, for the growth journey. We need 15 people in there. So sign up quickly for you to reserve your spot. Great. Thank you so much, Uncle Sam, for this valuable lesson on the high road leadership. Here are the books. There is one here that is the one. Can you see? I think because of my background. Let me take off the background.
I can see.
Can you see? Okay, this is the high road.
I see that. Yeah.
And then the one that's perfect. Excellent. So these are the two books that the content of which Sam has distilled for us for our lesson today. So you can get copies. Contact CTL if you cannot get you are unable to get a copy, and we'll be happy to see how this can be procured for you. Great. So Sam, let's see what others are saying in the comments. Kwame JB says he is soaking in the leadership tips once again. Thanks to Ton. And Olive on the Wall with Dr. Tess is joining us from Nigeria, Abuja. Welcome to you, Dr. Tess. And Halet K. Kanda is joining from Zambia. Great to have you from all parts of Africa. Stephen Amwakun says, awesome. Livingston says, high road leaders bring everyone on board for their well-being. Okay, I don't see any questions, but lots of commendation. True servant leaders value and add value to people. That is Albert Donko, what he's taken away from what you shared. And Junior Malik says, beautiful. And we have Livingston, who says, a high road leader prioritizes character over charisma. The world needs high road leaders. Absolutely. And Dorothy, thanks so much for the wonderful message. I have learned a lot. Great. So people are learning. And Nana Kofi, great lesson. Thanks, Mr. Aim. Dr. Tess, question. This is the first question that is coming up. Sam, if you could note it. Can someone with a widespread negative influence be considered a leader? Okay, that's the first question. Let's see whether there are others that are coming up. So that's the first question. And okay, let's see. I don't see any questions. Let's see. Comfort says leading as a servant is difficult. How do you overcome these difficulties? So 2 questions. Can someone from Dr. Tess, who has, let me go back and read the question again. Dr. Tess, where are you? I just want to underline her question. Can someone with
widespread
negative
influence be considered as
a good leader? Yeah. And then the second one is from Comfort that says,
how do you overcome the difficulties?
So Sam, if you could answer those 2.
All right. Okay, so Dr. Tess, well, I think the discussion that goes on in leadership classrooms is questions like, is Osama bin Laden a leader? Is Hitler a leader? And questions like that. Now, when you understand that leadership is influence, then anybody who is getting people behind them for whatever purpose that is set, even though it may be counter, it may be destructive, that person, in the sense, is a leader. Now, as to whether he's a good leader, a high road leader, a low road leader, is the question that we should interrogate. So if your influence is negative and destructive, like a lot of people do. In fact, one of the challenges we're having with our young people, a lot of people, and we're trying to teach young people leadership. And a lot of the adults are saying to the young people, they have to behave, they have to do that, they have to do this. But every day, what is the example that the young people are seeing? Bad examples. They are seeing leaders who are doing the bad things, they are doing corruption, they are stealing, they are telling lies, plain face lies. And this is what the children are seeing every day. That is a negative influence on our children. But these are the leaders, and the children are following. And the bad leadership that we are seeing at a higher national political level, today you go to our universities, and that even university elections have been politicized. So yes, negative influences, who has a negative influence is actually leading. And if we understand it that way, then what we have to do is to redirect that influence in a way that will be beneficial to society. So if you recognize that you have influence, that influence is being negative and destructive and counter to societal aspirations, then you have to rethink. Now, in the Bible, we find that Moses sent 12 people to go and spy the land. And when they went to spy the land, they all saw the land was good. But 10 of them came and gave very negative report. And because of that negative report, the people started rebelling. They believed the negative report, even though 2 people said, no, that report is not right. But at that point, the 10 were the ones who were influencing the poor of the nation, and they led them astray, and God had to punish them for that. So negative influence is influence, and we just have to recognize it. And when you're a leader, you also have to recognize that within your organization, within your home, when people's behavior are influencing others. in the group, in the organization negatively, then you have to take steps to address it, because very soon the people are all going to follow him doing the bad things. So that is that. Now, yes, servant leadership is difficult. How do you overcome that difficulty? You overcome that difficulty by accepting the mindset and the attitude that your job as a leader is difficult. Now, childbirth is painful. Very, very painful. I have 5 children, and I've seen the pain that my wife has gone through all those 5 times. But after the first one, she didn't stop. Second one, she didn't stop. I said she should stop at 2. She didn't stop at 2. She went on to 3, to 4, to 5. It is painful. But why would she put herself through that pain? Because she knows the end result is more rewarding. She's going to have a baby in her hand that she can cherish, that she can call her own. Women have opportunity to adopt women, but they still want to carry the baby in their womb, feel the pain, go through the labor and deliver, and they feel that having gone through that painful experience, they can enjoy. Now, when you are a high road leader, you know that going through that pain and the difficulties and the challenges would result in a better result, because you know what you're doing. So it's a mindset thing. If you don't condition your mind properly to accept that responsibility and to accept the challenges, then you will give up. Okay, so that is in my view, the way to overcome the challenges is to recondition our mindset and to look at the end results of high road leadership, the benefits it brings, the rewards it brings to other people, lifting everybody. Jesus had to go on the cross. It was painful. At one point, he was crying, "Father, why have thou forsaken me?" But he knew that without the cross, there'll be no salvation. So that is what I would say to Comfort's question and about the difficulty of high road leadership. Sarah, thank you.
Okay, excellent. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. So, Sam, what I'm hearing you say is that when it comes to leadership, it's like a spectrum, right? A spectrum, you have the negative side, you have the positive side, and you have to regulate to see whether you're going on the negative side or the positive, and see which one really influences the people that you lead. Yeah. Right. And also, the difficulties, we have to have the end in mind, like Stephen Covey says, have the end in mind. This is where I want to go. Who do you want to become at the end of your leadership, and work backwards to ensure that you are able to contain the leadership. Thank you so much. The difficulties, sorry. Okay, so I can't see any more questions, but Sam, just one question from me. Normally, in our culture, it's difficult to give feedback to our leaders. What are some of the ways that we can give feedback that will help the leaders to embrace it and to become better, instead of feedback that will really be destructive feedback, I would say? What are some ways that we can give feedback that are constructive?
Yeah. Well, in our culture, there was a system of feedback to the chiefs. Okay, it's just that we don't give it in public. so that was the difference. There's a system of feedback. You don't give it in public, but yes, we have kind of evolved a culture where, and in fact, the reason is because most of the people are not leading at the high road. They are leading at the low road. And when you are leading at the low road, you don't want the feedback. You don't want the negative feedback. You want to present the good image and the good picture. So that is a challenge. Now we need to begin to help our people to bring themselves down. Now, when I was in corporate, and And I've been in boardroom all the time. I've worked for several CEOs. One of the things I did for my CEOs was to find a good opportunity to give them the feedback. So when you want to give feedback to your seniors, you don't go into the general meeting when, everybody's in the meeting and you are going to say, boss, you do this. You embarrass the boss. And remember, not many of our bosses are high road leaders. So they may not take it that kindly. And they're going to kill you because they are low road leaders. It's not the right thing to do, but they're good. So you have to find a better way. And the better way is usually to go to them privately at the right moment and go and present the case in a way that is constructive. And I encourage I encourage everybody on this line to join Toastmasters, because in Toastmasters, we have a practice of how to give feedback, okay? Constructive feedback. Every week when we meet in our meetings, you do your presentation, you have a feedback. So over time, you get used to this. So those of you who have challenges with feedback, I encourage you to join Toastmasters. You learn to speak, you learn to lead, and you learn to give and to receive feedback. But one way is to give the feedback constructively. You tell the people what is good about what you're doing. Because a lot of the time we give the feedback, we don't recognize the positives. So great feedback starts with recognizing what is great and a recommendation of what can be improved. Instead of just going back and this is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong, you go like, you did this great. This is going well. And that's what I used to do for my leaders. I go to them. In fact, some of them were very difficult situation. I went to them. I said, boss, I can see you have great vision for this organization. You've done that. You're doing this, you're doing this. This is great. And everybody applauds you. And I think this is a good example for us. And you want to take us to this far. But I can see A, B, C, D, that would be derailing that objective. And I think if we can find a way to address this, and I'll come in with some suggestions of how we can do it, then it will be good. So when you are going to give a feedback, come with the positive, come with suggestions on how things can be improved, and also bring it into the big picture and understand that that person is also human. Okay, so that is what I would say to that question.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Uncle Sam. And I can see another question from Countryside Gaming, who says, question, Uncle Sam, don't you think that Jesus was able to set all these examples because he was partly God?
Okay.
He's not human. Yeah. That's what
yeah. Well, he was partly God, but the Bible says that he became human. Jesus, whilst on earth, assumed the full humanity. And the Bible says he suffered temptations like all of us. So he left his godhood up and came down to take on the human form. So whilst he was on earth, he was pure human. He was hungry, he cried, he expressed all the emotions, the pains, and the things that we go through. And that is, he did that as an example for us. So he was able to do because he was willing to assume that position of human. But he didn't have to. He didn't. He could have just taken his God position and stayed there. But he left his godhood and came down as a human being, lived among us, experienced all the challenges, and he did it. So yes, you can say he did that, but we also have some godhood in us. God has breathed his godness in us. That's one of the things that we sometimes don't appreciate. God breathed into us his nature. We are made in the image of God. Every human being is made in the image of God, and the goodness of God is in all of us. But society gives us certain models and images, and we begin to learn the bad images, and that beclouds the goodness of God in us. So we all have a God, if you want, a part of God in us that should enable us to be able to lead better. Okay, so I have a belief that we are generally human beings are good. They're not bad. Okay, and we can do the right thing and we can do good. But we also, because of our socialization, can also do very, very bad things. And we need to minimize the bad things and lift up the good ones. All right. So I think Joy is asking for us, for the corporates and the HR people who want to get copies of our training catalog. The number to call, I think, is 055 666 7718.
Yes.
055 666 7718. Call that number and you can reach us also on our emails and our social media to request for a copy of the CTL Africa 2025 training catalog. And we have a whole lineup of activities to help you. And next week, we have a time with a CEO, and we are coming with an amazing personality we would announce soon, but the name is Mrs. Stella Aku-Addo, and he used to be the former country manager for the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supplies. And you don't want to miss her story. You don't want to miss her leadership lessons. So next week, a time with the CEO with Mrs. Stella Aku-Addo. All right. Good. Sarah?
Great. Yes.
I guess.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking us through these lessons and setting us up for our leadership journey for 2025. It's been an amazing time. And I guess I don't see any more questions or comments in the chat box. And therefore, we may call it a night. And thanking everybody for joining us. We'll be here, as Uncle Sam said, next week at 7 o'clock GMT, 8 o'clock, I guess, 8 o'clock WAT, that is West Africa time, and 21 hours, that is those of us who are beyond. So looking forward to meeting you again, and remember to live one of the principles of a high road leader before we meet up next week. It's been great having you, and remember to subscribe to our channels, subscribe to our YouTube channels, and connect with us so we'll be able to serve you better in 2025. Until then, it has been the Leadership Platform, the first episode, which is our 195th episode for the whole 4 years that we've been with you. It has been a pleasure being your host for today. So we sign off. Have a great week. And as Uncle Sam will always say, he being a person of faith, go to church tomorrow. Okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Good night.
For over a decade, CTL Africa Leadership has been more than a service provider. We are your dedicated partner in leadership growth, specializing in leadership development, corporate governance, strategy, culture, change management, and customer service. We focus on relational skills and personal growth essentials for effective and sustainable leadership. Our approach blends masterclasses, mastermind groups, gamified learning, and executive coaching to create impactful and engaging programs. Introducing our 2025 Corporate Development Catalog. For all heads of organizations and HR leaders, call us now to request your copy today and take your organization to the next level in 2025.